The Rochdale by-election, are essentially the by-election where almost absolutely no candidate seems to be, well, good in many of the cases. Um, Obviously, the Labour candidate spouting conspiracy theorists, yeah, not a good look. I will agree that 100%. Probably should have done, more due diligence on the candidate and probably done a bit better on the vetting side of things. Same for the Green candidate. Probably should have vetted him a bit closer. um, but honestly, at the moment in Rochdale, it just seems an absolute mess. But the thing is here, this field is now unfortunately wide open. This has suddenly become anyone's game. And I hope, honestly to God, I really do hope this becomes a Lib Dem victory. So my advice, if you are a Green supporter or a Labour supporter, and you are like, why has this happened? What's gone on here? You probably know the Lib Dem activists. Get in contact with them, help them out in stuff ways. Probably be really good on that front, unless the Lib Dem candidate suddenly comes out with something as well, because it honestly does feel like that at the moment watching this, that any moment something else is going to come out. But for please, Rochdale, for all in Zeus's name, you know, in great Odin's spatula, I beseech you, people of Rochdale, do not elect George Galloway. Just um anyway, before we get on to more of this, like I say, please do click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And if you are in Rochdale and you want to, update the people on just like the crazy stuff that's going on in your area, please do so below. Do leave a comment, because I've heard some very interesting stories. Which again, I'm not going to repeat on here because some of them aren't my stories to tell. Some of them I also can't verify if they're true. And well, I don't want to get sued if they are, if they aren't. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on in Rochdale at the moment. But please do let us know down below, like the stuff going on down in Rochdale, because oh boy, sounds like it's a very interesting time, shall we say, on the streets of Rochdale at the moment. So before we do get more on into talking more about this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. Also, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the one-off Dash link called Buy Me Coffee. You can, well, buy me coffee. There's the YouTube thank you button. And of course, as always, there is the Pony Club down below as well. So, George Galloway, who is this guy? Well, for those of you who may or may not remember thinking, isn't that the cat guy who went on Big Brother and drank milk from someone's hands? Why, yes. That is the very same person. And George Galloway comes from the Iraq war times. He was one of the very few people who was really outspoken, especially in the Labour Party, went a bit too far over the edge. And yes, congratulations. He was right on his Iraq war criticisms. Turns out, yeah, was going to be a mess. But so were many other MPs saying that at the same time as well. He was not a lone voice in the wilderness that he likes to proclaim that he was during that time. Unfortunately, since then, he's gone well over the deep end. Chilling for the Assad regime, having people from that government say, "Oh well, nothing's bad happening in Syria. We're just fighting against ISIS. We're not fighting against these people who wanted, free and open, fair elections. Oh, we'd never do that." While also having other people denying the war crimes that the Assad government has had. Perfectly normal people to have on your quote news channel. He has also parroted many times the Kremlin talking points and Kremlin propaganda about Ukraine. Had people who've basically just come on and said, "Oh yeah, the Zelensky's regime is absolutely corrupt to its core, and Russia is absolutely right and justified in going in there and performing a regime change. And everything it's doing currently is the right and correct thing to do. He has had those people on his show. Um, this is a guy who honestly would quite gladly, if it meant he could talk, get a good talking point against America bad, would probably start saying, "Gee, aren't China really good? I love China." Would George? He'd probably say that if the Chinese government paid him enough to. Like I say, it's not like other governments haven't paid him to do very similar things for them. So yeah, this guy is not someone you should be electing as your elected representative. Ask the people of Bradford what happened when they elected him, when he was part of the Respect party. Really an attentive MP, wasn't he? Trust me, go look the Bradford local newspapers about how they complain about him from that time when he was their MP, constantly saying how he is ignoring them. And it is in almost some of the same vein, if you may remember, when we were seeing some of the local councils talking about Nadine Dorris when she had abandoned her responsibilities as being an MP. They're not too dissimilar. But there you go at the moment. So yeah, for the love of God, please do not elect George Galloway. Jesus Christ. I mean, the only good thing for me would be, I suppose, I get more content. Those of you who may remember when I used to do stream on a Wednesday, I've got to get back to live streaming, doing more. I really do. Where are we now? Yeah, so we used to do, obviously, we used to look in on George Galloway a lot. Back, we used to do like a monthly trip to Galloway land. So yeah, it was interesting times, so we say the least. Interesting times. But like I say, at the moment, unfortunately, because of everything that seems to have gone and happen, really because it does look like that the candidates haven't just not been vetted properly. But unfortunately, these things do happen sometimes. It's just at the moment, I think you are seeing a lot of people try anything. If Labour literally were, if Keir Starmer were to step out this morning and step on an ant, then you would have a lot of people go, "How dare you, Keir Starmer? How dare you step on that ant? How very, very dare you?" Honestly, that's how it does feel quite a lot of the time. And here's the thing. I've said this many times before. I think when Labour get in, they're going to be very, very progressive. I think they're going to be a lot more progressive than people give them credit for. Because when they get in, they're going to have to do a lot of stuff. There's a ton of stuff they are going to have to do, and I think it's going to become very, very progressive. And guess who agrees with me? Andrew Marr. Andrew Marr, of all people, went on, I think it was the New Statesman, in his sort of weekly video he did about 2 or 3 weeks ago, said the exact same thing I have been saying now for months. That this Labour government, if it gets in, is going to be very, very progressive. And it's going to end up having to do a lot of stuff to really solve the problems that the UK is facing. And I really do believe that they are up to the challenge on that. So, and I've said it before, I am very, very hopeful when it comes to my politics. That is, I've always said, how I approach politics, how I do my politics. When I think about politics, I always think it in a very sort of, positive sort of way. And that's how I do it, because as I've said before, you get more done with positivity than you do with negativity. You look at a lot of these other people when they're talking negative about Keir Starmer or Labour. Well, what's your alternative? What's your solution? Very often they don't have those at all, or when they do put forward a solution, it's a bit, shall we say? But there you go. So, as always, thank you very much for, of course, watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.